This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Welcome in on this Sunday morning to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That is Jay Delsing. We're presented by Doherty Business Solutions, and it's our first voyage into talking golf all summer, really all year long, Jay, and I can't wait to do this. It's going to be fun.
It's great to be with you, Danny. This is to have you kind of take this thing to the next level. I'm super proud.
You take it to the next level. I just put it on a tee, and you got to hit it out there, hit it straight, pipe it like you did on the #1 at Norwood for the Ascension Charity Classic.
That's all we can talk about. That entire event was my first tee shot. We can't talk about anything else, and we don't want to talk about the level that I take it to, but we're excited. You know, the show's been around now we're in our start of kind of a quarter of the way through our 5th year, and to have somebody with you do this with me is just awesome. We're going to have a blast.
I appreciate it because this is a lot of fun for me. Our first guest will be here at Wild Crush, and we're here at Wild Crush. It'll be Nick Ragone, who's the Executive Vice President, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at Ascension. The Ascension Charity Classic is just around the corner, but we're here at Wild Crush because we're going to have on April 6th a Masters party that is with the Ascension Charity Classic, and we're trying to raise as much awareness and money that we can for the charities in North County.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Danny, I've said this before, but I'm going to keep saying it. There's no way to overstate how cool this event is for me. It's hard for me to even talk about it, even with you, without choking up, because it's North County. That's where I grew up. It's Norwood. That's where I grew up. It's the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour Champions, which was my dream. You know, that doesn't happen to many people.
How many Champions Tour events have you played in?
Not very many because of my back. I had back surgery right when I turned 50. I bet you I've only played 20, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah, not very many.
So now you're getting ready for the end of this summer, and I think there's some parallels to what you're doing right now as the weather is changing to the average golfer like myself that loves to get out and play, trying to get out of the winter months, get ready for spring, get ready for summer. So what are you doing right now to try to prepare? Because you do have an exemption to play this year at the Ascension Charity Classic.
And it could really be my last event. I don't know. It could
I'm going to choke up if it is your last event.
Oh, my gosh. I got to tell you, that first tee shot in year 1 was, I don't know how that happened, but it was so cool of Nick and the Ascension guys to make that happen. But what I'm doing now is I'm back in the gym. I haven't stopped. I go and I lift weights twice a week. 20 Minutes of Fitness. They've been a great supporter of the show, and it's remarkable in 20 minutes what a great workout you can get. And I was the most skeptical person that's ever gone in there. So I still do that, but I'm back in the gym, and I'm just doing some training. I'm doing a little bit of cardio to get in good shape. I want to walk Norwood, and I just want to when I do that sort of cardio, Danny, it's for my overall fitness, but it's also for my brain. And you're an athlete. You know how important it is to get that hard sweat on. It helps you burn off some of the stress and the wear and tear of everyday life. And then I've got golf specific stretches and weights and things like that I'm doing. A lot of rotational stuff, a lot of abs and butt and hamstring stuff, and just it's competitive. It's not like it was back when we all started, man. You need to be strong and you need to be ready to go, and I hope to be able to do that this year.
I think it's amazing. You and I were talking off the air. You have probably walked, 70,000 miles you counted up on the golf course alone?
We did something, my daughters and I, on my old website to try to do something interesting that people might find interesting, and they said, Dad, try to figure out how many miles you've walked. So we've had the tour come out and put pedometers on us, which is really interesting. So if you just go by
When did they do that? When did they start doing that?
This was back in the late 90s and the early 2000s.
Cool.
Yeah, so they just stick it in your pocket and off you go. It wasn't intrusive. It wasn't a problem at all. And so then what's interesting is that if you break down just the yardage of the golf course, it's somewhere in the 3 or 4 mile range. But you know how you play. You don't ever walk a straight line. And Danny, if you stop and watch, even the Dell match play that went on last week, or the Texas Open that's going on this week, when guys get on the green, we'll walk around that green almost 3 full circles. And so we wound up walking somewhere between 8 and 10 miles every single round of golf.
It's incredible. What's the first part of your game when you come out of the winter months of hibernation? Because right now, if you're living in the Midwest, that's what you've been doing. I mean, you're not playing down in Florida or Texas, Arizona, or the West Coast. You probably have not been playing a lot of golf, so you might be going to hit off of mats, but you're not hitting off of grass. So what's the first part of your game that you find out that comes back?
I got to tell you, the first thing I do is to be extra patient. Not my strong suit, Danny, but right now the golf courses, no disrespect to any superintendent, the golf courses are in terrible shape because we just get so much rain and there's no growth, right? I mean, all the plants are just now starting to come alive. So we got wind, we've got really, really super soft conditions, and the greens themselves are not where they normally are. So you just really have to be patient, because this is as hard as the golf courses we play will ever play right this moment. So that's the first thing. And then I start from the green and work back. And I try to tell everybody that's serious about their game and trying to get better, start at the green and work back. Man, if you did nothing but get really, really good from 100 yards and in, I mean, your scores, your good days will be better, your bad days will be better. It's the glue that holds your golf game together.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions, coming to you from Wild Crush. And again, our guest in a few minutes will be Nick Ragone, the Executive VP, Chief Marketing Officer, Communications Officer with Ascension. I know one of the things that you and Pearlie always did was give away golf balls. So I'm going to ask you to give away some golf balls right now. And I would assume I'm not on that list to get those golf balls.
No, you're taking Pearlie's spot. He was 0 for 4 years. So, yeah.
4 years.
It was a running joke. Yeah, so guys, if you just send me an email, jay@jdelsinggolf.com, spell J out on both ends of that, and put the word ball somewhere in the subject line or anywhere, we'll enter you in the drawing. And we just sent out the winners for March. So nice. We'll get back in the habit of I've kind of stopped naming people on the show. We'll get back next week to naming them and tell them who won and get them out there to them.
So one of the things I want to get with Nick on is who is committed to come to the Ascension Charity Classic. Now, we've got some local guys, obviously, like yourself, but we're also going to talk about, I'm assuming, John Daly. You're talking about Bernard Langer, who's got a chance to make some history maybe here in St. Louis, but we're talking about some of the biggest names in golf. I'd love to see Freddie Couples make it here if that could happen, but it's going to be fun. It should be a good list of players.
Oh, 100%. You know, Fred's a huge baseball fan, as you know, and I think he'd love the golf course. So he just is real finicky. You know, He goes on and off. When he plays a lot. When he doesn't play, you don't even know where he is, and he probably doesn't even know where his clubs are.
Yes.
You know, so, but Danny, we're going to have Ernie Els. We'll have Jim Furyk. We're thinking Stuart Singh turns 50 this year. Nota Begay turns 50 this year. Justin Leonard is a newbie. He just turned 50 last year, along with David Duval. They both played in the 2022 version. We're going to have the who's who. Jerry Kelly will be here. I know that for sure. Steve Stricker will be here. I don't know about Miguel Angel Jimenez. He hasn't been able to make it. There's usually, I think, a European event right around that, our Labor Day time frame. So he hasn't been able to make it, but we're going to have as good, if not the best field in the Champions Tour ever.
The guy that I want to see at some point in time, I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't know if it's ever going to happen here in St. Louis, and you know where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
Tiger Woods.
I can't talk about him enough. I mean, he look at what he's done for the game of golf since 96 when he came on 97.
A lot of money in your pocket and the other players too.
Danny, every year I write him a note. I send him and thank him and say, keep doing what you're doing. All of us appreciate you.
Yeah, Isn't that amazing how he changed the game? Because once he arrived on the scene and you started seeing the television ratings just skyrocket, and then all of a sudden, because he debuted in Milwaukee, and then he won the second year on tour with the Masters in, 97? The ratings for that were off the charts, and so you had non-golf fans become golf fans because of Tiger Woods, and it changed the complexion of the sport.
It absolutely did. And you know what's interesting, too? We'd be remiss if we didn't say something similar happened with John Daly. Now, John brought in an entirely different crowd, more of like a Jack Daniels sort of crowd.
Happy Gilmore.
I know, and I know that's but I don't want to take anything away from John, because, Danny, when I played, he was always either the second or third largest draw, moved the needle, and he loves the St. Louis and the Ascension Charity Classic. He loves the Cardinals. You know that, too.
Are you, by the way, are you just like playing Norwood nonstop? I mean, you know every nook and cranny of that golf course because you were carrying bags as a young kid, and now you're playing as a pro. But the course changes, times change. You know, are you preparing as if like this is it, man? This is my one event, and I'm getting ready for that one event.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, if my progression goes the way I hope it does, try to get in an event before then. Either going to qualify or see if I can get an exemption. Get
the juices going.
Yeah, because the hardest thing is to deal with all of the mental. You're just not used to it. Like I sit here and talk to you now, and I've played. The last time I played was 18 months ago or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so you just, there's all this time when it's not your shot. You get crazy amounts of thoughts that are like, you only have a foot-long putt, but you could miss it. You know, just all these things that creep in that when you're used to playing all the time, you handle them easily. And it's just one round, one extra tournament under your belt can help a lot.
So Nick Ragone is coming up after a quick timeout. This is On the Range with the Golf with Jay Delsing show. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Jay Delsing. And let's tip the cap. What do you got? Tip of the cap.
First of all, the tip of the cap is brought to you by our buddy Colin Byrne over at the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkland. 314-966-0303. Colin's a great guy. My daughter's got a Colin vehicle. Pearlie's got a Colin vehicle. I have one. He is great. If you want me to personally introduce you to him, send me an email, jay@jdelsingolf.com, and I will do that. I'm tipping my cap, Danny. This is going to be an odd one, but I'm tipping my cap to springtime. Thank you for finally getting here.
Mother Nature gets a tip of the cap.
I'm so tired of not being able to get outside, and you start thinking about being able to practice. We got daylight savings time came back. Has come back now. And so, at 7:15, you can go out and play 4 or 5 holes still. And that's my favorite time of the evening to play. And you and I are going to get to do a lot of that this year, and I can't wait.
You're going to get in my pocket. I know that.
We're going to try.
This is the Golf with Jay Delsing show presented by Doherty Business Solutions. And coming up, we'll visit with Nick Ragone, and that's next.
That was On the Range with Jay Delsing. For news on the latest golf equipment, tips, and to ask Jay a question, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. Coming up, it's the Front Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing.
I love having Doherty Business Solutions as the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You already know that they're the #1 largest IT consulting firm and the largest software developer in the St. Louis region. You also know that there are over 2,500 Doherty teammates in 30 states and 3 countries around the world. But what you may not be aware of is what Doherty Business Solutions does right here in our own community. They were the sponsor for the first Advocate PGA event at Glen Echo this past September. Doherty Business Solutions was also a presenting sponsor of the Ascension Charity Classic. They have created Access Point, which builds diversity in the IT workforce. This is a game changer in our community. Literally, hundreds of mostly young African-American women are getting $50,000 to $60,000 per year jobs right out of high school, and that training begins in high school. Doherty Business Solutions believes talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. Ron Doherty, our founder at Doherty Business Solutions, is the chair of the 2023 Heart Ball, supporting the local American Heart Association Foundation. These are just a few examples of the positive things Doherty Business Solutions is doing right now in our community.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
The official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show is the Dean Team. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They provide me, Pearlie, and our families with all of our cars. The reason we went with the Dean Team is because we could trust them. We knew at the Dean Team they were going to take care of us, and they have. They made the entire car buying experience so simple. It was more than just simply selling us a vehicle. The Dean Team made our car buying experience seamless and enjoyable throughout that entire process. The Dean Team has the complete car buying steps done before you head into their showroom. They're ready to answer all your questions and set your mind at ease when buying a vehicle. At the Dean Team, they offer new, pre-owned, and all the services included with your Dean Team purchase. When you're with the Dean Team, they become lifelong friends. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, located at Manchester Road in Kirkwood. The Dean Team.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
This is the Front Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing. The Front Nine is presented by the Ascension Charity Classic, September 5th through the 10th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Find out more at AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Sunday, and this is Golf with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Jay Delsing. We're presented by Doherty Business Solutions, and we have the chance to visit here at Wild Crush with the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, Executive Vice President of the Ascension Charity Classic. And I guess I can say Ascension Charity Classic. He wears a lot of hats, and that's Nick Ragone. And hey, Nick, it's always great to see you.
It's fun to see you and Jay in one setting.
One setting, and here we go.
Well, guys, thanks for coming in. We love Wild Crush. We love the Ascension Charity Classic. We got some giveaways for folks to come by and get some Ascension Charity Classic gear. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Let's start with this, Nick. Just how are ticket sales going right now for the Ascension Charity Classic, and it's not that far away?
It's going really well. You know, we're ahead of last year's pace. The first 2 years, we've had record attendance, as you guys know, on the Champions Tour. First year, we had over 50,000 people. Last year, we improved on that. And this year, we're already trending ahead. I think part of it is just people now know the event. We've been doing heavy promotion. Part of it is the Champions Tour is off to a great start. We've had great storylines. Bernard Longer winning, tying Hale Irwin's record. That's going to be a great storyline, Jay, as you know. We've had David Toms, our former champion. Ernie Els won. So the Champions Tour is just, it's a great product. You know, I've had the chance to talk to Commissioner Jay Monahan and others quite a bit the last few months, and I truly believe the Champions Tour is the single best product in sports. As far as corporate sponsorship, the value you get for your dollar, the way you can reinvest in the community, and fan engagement. So we're blessed. We're doing a big Masters promotion coming up. In fact, thank you, Jay. We're going to be having a little party here, Masters party on Thursday, April 6th. And so we're doing a promotion right now. If you buy tickets for the Charity Classic, you enter sweepstakes to get some VIP clubhouse passes and some other really cool stuff. So automatic entry into sweepstakes. So go to AscensionCharityClassic.com, get those tickets.
Nick, one of the things that people are going, for anyone that hasn't come and seen the event in person, they're gonna be blown away by the back nine. It looks, Danny, it looks just like a tour event. There are
That's the corporate support stepping up. The tents and the way that it configures through the back nine at Norwood Hills.
Yeah, and the St. Louis, as we all know and seen, is just they show up and they support, and it's just amazing. And I got to tell you, as a player, it matters.
Yeah, I heard that, Jay, from so many people last year, including David Toms and others, that coming down the stretch, this year it was 11 through 18, so virtually the whole back nine. The year before, 13. But how big the build-out is, how many fans are, how loud they are, and how much it feels like a tour event. And to a person, they said that makes a difference when, and you know this, Jay, as you pick a schedule, figure out where you want to play. If there's 30-plus events, you're not playing all of them. You want to go to places where you feel like, you're back on the big tour. And David Tom said that, Longer said that, Retief Goosen said that, Ernie Els, Furyk, so many of them said, man, I felt like it was back in the heyday when I was playing on the big tour. And as you remember, we held this press conference, both of you were there, October 8th of 2020, announcing the event. We said we wanted to create a PGA Tour atmosphere, and it's pretty cool that initially the first year we did that, and now it really, really feels like that.
Nick, do you feel, and you just mentioned some huge names in the history of golf and still continuing now on tour and playing at the Ascension Charity Classic, but do you feel that there's a day in which we're going to see Tiger Woods playing on this tour?
I think for sure, and I know that's a bold statement, but I will give you my reasons why. One is he has said in multiple interviews he's looking forward to turning 50 and getting in a cart. He's said that in the interviews. He's said that multiple times. I had the chance of seeing him back in November at the Tour Partners meeting. I chatted with him for 5 or 6 minutes in front of the commissioner and Rory and a few others. And he knew a lot about the event. He knew a lot about St. Louis. He said he loved playing in St. Louis at Belle Reve in 2018. He said, what time of year is your event? I said, September. He immediately said, oh, good, my allergies won't be a problem. So that's how the guy's brain thinks. He knew the history of Norwood Hills. And he said, get my cart ready. And so during the course of dinner, he then, again, apropos of nothing, said, get my cart ready in St. Louis. So I took that as like he's playing. So we're going to do everything we can. I really, really think Tiger is going to be playing a pretty full schedule on the Champions Tour, and I absolutely think he's coming to St. Louis.
Oh, I don't know how we're going to handle the people. If we're an event that
I'd
has
like to
Tiger,
find out.
Oh my gosh,
I know Nick doesn't
absolutely.
mind finding out.
No, absolutely. And, Nick, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the money. I'm really super proud of the money that we've raised in only 2 years.
Yeah, I've said all along, the golf is second, the charity is first. And in the first year, you guys know, we gave almost $250,000 back to our 3 charities, the Urban League Boys and Girls Club Marygrove. 2 years ago, $800,000. Last year, over $1.3 million. The most charitable tournament now in year 2 on PGA Tour Champions. And again, that speaks of our community. It speaks of our corporate sponsorship. You mentioned, Danny, the build out on the back nine. Those numbers are possible because of the Emersons and the Worldwides and Centene and Missouri Tourism. The state of Missouri is a huge partner, Enterprise, and so many amazing companies. St. Louis is blessed to have just a bunch of really great corporate citizens who care Ameren, that give back to the community. And so we're lucky, we're blessed, and we're going to keep improving on that number. People always ask me, what does success look like? It's simple. Keep improving the number of dollars given back to charity. That's what the focus is.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic is our guest, and I put you on the spot with this because people that are listening to a golf show are hearing about the PGA Tour, they hear about the Champions Tour, and then we also talk about LIV. What is the association, if any, or can there be an association for the Champions Tour and LIV?
It's hard to say. The Champions Tour comes under the PGA Tour umbrella.
Exactly.
So the way we look at it is we're focused on our product. There are players that, are on the LIV Tour that would be on the Champions Tour. Phil and Lee Westwood come to mind. We're focused on who's coming out this year. Stuart Sink, I think, turns 50. He will be in our event. He's a brand ambassador. Nota Begay, Justin Leonard will be back out, David Vaughn and others. Here's the difference. We've heard a lot of talk the last 2 years about growing the game of golf. And I feel like we in St. Louis hit a pretty good model, which is you take an event, you put it in an unserved part of the community, you invest all the dollars back into charities in the area, and then you lean into diversity and inclusion. In our case, the APGA Classic, our event at Glen Echo, which was a huge hit last year. This year, we're moving up into August, the APGA Classic at Glen Echo again, so that we give it some space and we let it have its own week, which I think is going to be really good. And if you remember last year, and I know, Jay, you heard me say this many times, I talked about part of our goal was to have the APGA become a developmental tour for the PGA Tour, where they eventually get status to Korn Ferry, because without status, there's no pathway. And a couple of weeks ago, the PGA Tour, Kenyatta Ramsey, who leads diversity on the tour, they announced that they're now having a structured partnership with the APGA to move on that path. And I truly believe that what we did here, and I think what farmers have done, has led to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's interesting because Farmers winds up shifting their final round to Saturday, also to avoid a little NFL conflict. And then they wind up televising the last round of the APGA event. And then when we came along and create an event and then have a press conference, I'll never forget what their commissioner said. He said, "This is the first press conference I've been to since I've been the commissioner of this tour, and it's been, 13 years? 11.
Yeah, I Ken Bentley, the commissioner of the tour and the founder, is a great guy, and Ron Doherty's been a big partner as well of Doherty Solutions. The APGA event doesn't happen without them. But Ken was talking, I think it was to the Post-Dispatch. It might have been Ben Hochman or Ben Fredrickson, one of them, and he said that somebody said, "Hey, you must do a lot of these press conferences." And he said, "In 13 years, we haven't done one."
Is that right?
And I overheard him. I said, "Welcome to St. Louis." And it was true, and they were amazed by that. And I remember that press conference. We're at Glen Echo. It was a cold, snowy, I think, Friday, and we had a full house of attendees and media, all the TV networks, all the print, and the APJ could not believe it.
Nick, I'm obviously partial, but I was a hawk on watching the APGA and their growth. And after we joined the party, it was almost like a domino effect.
Oh, absolutely. They then announced big partnerships, I think, with Oracle. They played at Baltusrol, Valhalla. Some of the courses they play at are extraordinary courses. And I think us and Farmers really were the tipping point. And I was so pleased to see the tour say, okay, we are going to figure out how to get status, a developmental relationship with the APGA, so that they can then go on to the Korn Ferry Tour and hopefully the big tour, because that's a step in the right direction. And we were saying that publicly last year. And I think the tour is listening. And at the end of the day, that's how you grow the game of golf. It's not about just throwing money and purses at players. It's about investing in the community. And I told the commissioner when I saw him a few weeks ago at the Players that keep talking about that. That's what we in corporate America are talking about, is reinvesting and growing the game in the community through charity, through diversity. The golf takes care of itself, Jay. You know that. You've been on tour forever. Golf takes care of itself, but that's the difference.
How about from that event, some of the names that were there, Nick, and maybe what they've done going on from that event and what they did that summer, or at least that fall, and some of the successes that they've had here in the last 9 or 10 months? Is there somebody that comes to mind?
Well, Tim O'Neill, for one. Tim O'Neill, you remember Tim, Jay, that Tim played in our event. And it was his first start on the Champions Tour. He went on to play well at Pebble, and then he qualified through Q School, which, Jay, you know this, toughest qualifying school on the planet. Tim has full status, and that's an amazing, and I don't think that happens without him playing at Norwood, seeing what it's like to be on the Champions Tour. And I'm so enormously proud that Tim qualified, and is a full-time member now of the Champions Tour.
Well, that's why I bring that up, because you hear Bernard Longer, you hear the big names, David Toms, former champion, but there's other guys that are kind of laying in the weeds that this kind of jump-starts what they're trying to do.
And somebody you played with, Jay, on the Monday qualifier.
Brian Cooper. Yeah, he got through. And
yep.
To get back to Nick's point, Danny, there is nothing even remotely close in all of sport that compares to the Champions Tour qualifying school. There is no way. Top 5, that's it.
Yeah, I like that,
80 for 5. I mean, it's great competition.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about it reminds me of Lee Trevino's old statement, you don't know what pressure is until you play a $5 Nassau with $2 in your pocket. But like 80 for 5 is pretty close.
Yeah, it really is.
Every stroke counts.
It really does. And it also shows you how the guys that are established, the bigger names, they want this to be extremely difficult to get in. It's almost like a closed shop. They're protecting their own.
You probably have seen that a lot behind the scenes,
haven't you? A lot of sponsor exemptions. I will tell you, our Monday qualifier last year, Jay played in it last year. He will not be playing it in this year. Our Monday qualifier, Jay, you saw some of the names, and there was major winners. I think Sean McKeel might have played. There were a dozen tour winners,
Exactly.
and multiple tour winners, not just one event. Guys like Len Matisse, who nearly won the Masters. If you saw the Monday qualifier, it looked like a smaller Champions Tour field in a regular market. And it was amazing how competitive. I mean, I was looking at the tee sheet thinking, this is incredible. For the Monday, it's that competitive.
We're coming to you from Wild Crush, and Wild Crush is going to be hosting a Masters party thanks to the Ascension Charity Classic on that Thursday, April 6th. Nick Ragone is our guest. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we're back with more on the Jay Delsing Golf Show in just a moment.
That was the Front Nine, presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. Coming up, it's the Back Nine and more of golf with Jay Delsing.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management combines 200 years of experience and cutting-edge products to deliver exceptional service, value, and clarity to their clients. Powers Insurance will deliver the highest quality property and casual insurance programs and strategic planning consultation services in the industry. Insurance can be overwhelming and confusing. It can be tough to understand. Powers Insurance simplifies it for you and your business. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you by providing ongoing assistance, consultation, and service that will help you control your insurance expenses and your workplace safety. Find out how Powers Insurance can help you. Visit powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Jay Delsing. Did you know that Marcone is the largest authorized appliance parts distributor in the world? That's right, the largest in the world. Did you know that Marcone is based right here in our backyard of St. Louis, Missouri? Well, that's pretty impressive. What's more impressive is the way that they give back to the St. Louis community and our region. CEO Jim Sowers has donated service dogs to the wounded servicemen and women of our armed forces. Suites at St. Louis Blues games have been donated and auctioned off, in which all proceeds were given to the Backstoppers. Then there was the Marcone Police and Firefighters viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic this past year. It was a huge success, so much so that it's being implemented on other tour stops around on the PGA Tour. To Jim Sowers and his incredible team at Marcone, we want to say thank you. Thank you, Marcone, a proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is the Back Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing. The Back Nine is presented by Pro-Am Golf, located in Brentwood. See what Pro-Am Golf can do for you.
Golf with Jay Delsing continues on this Sunday. We're on the Back Nine, and we're presented by Doherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Nick Ragone from Ascension is with us. And we were just talking about guys that are qualifying and trying to participate in the Ascension Charity Classic. And I know, Nick, you have reached out to Jay Delsing, and he'll be competing again this year. I think this is so cool. Not only because he's one of my best friends, but he was dragging bags as a kid and now gets to play as a professional at Norwood Hills Country Club, and that's about as good as it gets.
It is as good as it gets, and Jay, it's been such an extraordinary brand ambassador for us from day one, literally even before day one, before we announced it. Jay had been quietly circulating the buzz, and again, I said this story many times, but the first year is a blur. I literally don't remember anything except Jay's first shot, going out to the first tee, seeing him, trying not to make eye contact.
Piped it.
He was choking up. I was choking up.
I was
he
way
absolutely
choked up.
piped it, not only down the middle, but I mean 320, 330. And it was the perfect omen, the perfect start, perfect weather, 8 o'clock in the morning, him with his college buddies, Steve Payton, Corey Pavin. And I thought after that, no matter what else happens, it's going to be a good week. And so having Jay back in the field this year is really important because he and Jay Williamson are St. Louis golf at the professional level. I think, we're lucky to have the 2 Jays and the third Jay, Jay Haas. So this area has a lot of Jays. If you want to be a pro golfer, name your kid Jay. But, fans fans come out to see Jay, both Jays and Jay Haas. I followed you and Williamson that Sunday, the final round, our inaugural year. And there were some pretty big crowds. I mean, I was like, wow, St. Louis comes out and supports St. Louis.
To be able to play in it again is there aren't really words that will describe the feeling, but the pride, coming up the 18th fairway, looking at all of the, being part of it from a business side and trying to get support from the community and watching it all come together, even the build out. To watch the golf, watch the back nine take shape. It's stuff I never saw when I was playing the regular tour and took for granted. It's remarkable.
And the course is in great shape by that time of year at Norwood, even though it gets hot here in St. Louis, as we all know, but the course is in magnificent shape.
Oh, the scores will show it. I mean, these guys, if you're playing a golf course that's a little inferior to Norwood's West, the scores show it. I mean, Padraig, we couldn't have 2 better champions with Padraig and David Thompson. The golf course carves out a really, really good player.
Yeah, last year the final pairing, it was Stricker, Padraig, and Longer. I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better. And I took the time to watch the back nine, which was a lot of fun, and to see how far Padraig hits it up close. I mean, the guy bombs it still. And I'll tell you, one of the highlights last year was on the Saturday we did our Legends, and we had Jay emceeing it. And which, by the way, is one of the toughest jobs to MC Lee Trevino. Not easy.
Yeah.
To keep him moving along the conversation. And you have Coach, and we had Ryan O'Reilly and Nancy and Hale, and it was so much fun. But keeping that moving, talking to the crowd, emceeing it is a difficult job. I was like, I don't want that job, and I talk for a living. And Jay did it perfectly, and the fans had it. I mean, those crowds are huge.
You have a commitment again from Nancy, correct? Nancy Lopez will be back in St. Louis.
Yeah, so next year we're going to do this year, I should say, we're doing a Cards Blues thing. We're still figuring out. And Nancy will be back for sure. Hale will be back for sure. And Nancy was such a crowd pleaser, not only just playing in the event. She's one of the all-time great brand ambassadors for the game of golf. And she stayed an extra day on Sunday in the Ascension box, just working the crowd and meeting with sponsors.
That's
Nick,
great.
She is some kind of competitor. They would say, hey, we'll play the last hole for a drink. And she is grinding away on that 4-footer, and she doesn't drink. She just loves to compete. And I loved what she said at one of our gatherings where she said, Dad took me to the dentist and got me these beautiful, my smile beautiful, and told me to smile. And inside, I'm just trying to crush people.
I love that.
I know. It's just terrific.
So let's go through the rundown, Nick, of the events and how it all, chronologically will play out. So if you get a ticket, what can you expect when you go to the Ascension Charity Classic?
Yep. So this year, like I said, we're moving our APGA event up till August. So the first thing we'll have is, I think it's August, first week of August. I want to say 2nd, 3rd, 4th at Glen Echo. We have our APGA event, and that's free to the public. And if you go to AscensionCharityClassic.com, you'll learn more about that. And then this year's Charity Classic, again, is right after Labor Day. Again, we have no PGA Tour event opposite us, which is very cool, which means we get 8 hours uninterrupted live coverage on the Golf Channel, which, again, it's just huge. And we start with our Pro-Am. We have 3 days of Pro-Ams. It's so popular. So we have our Tuesday Pro-Am, then we have our pairings party Tuesday night, and then full Wednesday, Thursday Pro-Am. And I got to say, and Jay, you've played in so many of them, the best thing in sport is the PGA Tour Champions Pro-Am. These guys are funny. You actually get a chance to talk to them. I've played with Paul Stankowski the last 2 years, and he's giving you playing lessons. I mean, these guys just get it that the business is done on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so we have Pro-Ams on Wednesday and Thursday, which are extraordinary, and then the event kicks off Friday, Saturday. We have our Legends, and then Sunday. But for anybody that hasn't played in a PGA Tour Champions Pro-Am, it is a bucket list, thrill of a lifetime type of deal.
Nick, it really is. And Danny, one of the reasons why is that the guys on the regular tour, they don't really want to deal with it, even though it's, as Nick was said, it's crucial in our business model, both in the regular tour and the Champions Tour. But at the Champions Tour age, the guys are just, well,
they get it. They get the understanding of the corporate dollar and how important it is to what this is for the tour.
And the sharp edges have been wound off.
They've been sanded off.
They've been sanded off.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had a couple people tell me, and there's some players that were known as grinders, like Vijay Singh, even Bernhard on the big tour, and we had people that played with him in the Pro-Am and said, Vijay chatted the whole time, signed stuff, was giving playing lessons, and you couldn't imagine that in the height of his playing days. He was trying to beat Tiger, and he actually did. He got to number one in the world. Bernhard, the same thing. And these guys, though, they, it's like a light switch goes on, and they realize, I told a few of them, we do our business Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You do yours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but you don't get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday without a good Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's a good way to put it. I've never heard it put like that.
I love that. And the other thing that is so important about our event, from the start, Nick and the Ascension guys focused on North County, staying in North County, Mary Grove, Urban League, Boys and Girls Club, all great charities. And, we're seeing things in the North County area change.
Have you seen it, Nick? I mean, have you seen a residual effect since you've started with this? And what's the response, kind of a second part to that question? When you talk to these charities, what are they saying to you?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. And I try to remind people, the charitable dollars, it's not a punchline for me when I do interviews. It's not just an abstract statistic. My wife's on the board of Mary Grove. I know their CEO, Michael Meehan, well. I visit there, and I could tell you the over $300,000 they got last year. It directly impacts lives of at-risk youth. I talk to Michael McMillan, the CEO of the Urban League, all the time. It's the same thing. He's like, here's what the programming, it allows us to do and how it's making a change in lives. Same thing with the Boys and Girls Club with Flint Flower. And so that's really important to me. I don't want it to just feel like the number is part of a punchline to a setup. It's not. It actually changes lives. And we want it to be like that. And that's why I encourage anybody that, if you've never been to Mary Grove, reach out to them. If you are interested in the work of the Boys and Girls Club, reach out to them, the Urban League. These are, and many other charities that are involved in the Charity Classic now, they are changing lives every day.
And I've said this probably too many times, but I'm going to say it again because it's unusual. Because of the pandemic, we all really, really wanted year one to be 2020, and it was not. And Ascension got into their pocket without a shot being played and donated almost $250,000 to these folks. And I called the office in Jacksonville and said, what's going on? Have we ever done? And they said, never has this. They had no record of anyone doing something like this before a tournament played.
That had to get the attention of the tour, for sure.
It absolutely did. It's, that was... we wanted to play, but we didn't. But if there's anything to portend what a tournament's about, I think giving back $250,000 without hitting a shot is probably pretty good. And if there's anything that reflects the philanthropy and charity and caring and giving back of St. Louis as a community, it's the fact that, we made those commitments. And even though we didn't play, because of Emerson and because of Worldwide, I've told this story many times, but at the height of COVID, when I went to Emerson and Worldwide and said, here's the vision, we want to create a professional golf event, we want to put it in North County, we want all the proceeds to stay in North County. And before I could finish the sentence, both said, we're in. And so none of this happens without Emerson and Worldwide and Missouri, the state of Missouri. They've leaned into this in a huge way. They see it as a showcase, frankly, not just for St. Louis, for all of Missouri. They don't view it as a Charity Classic week for St. Louis. They view it as for all of Missouri. And it's a chance for them, through the Golf Channel and other stuff, to remind the rest of the country how special our region is to work, to relocate, to live, to play, to visit.
Nick, let's go through then as we wrap this up. Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic. Again, the chronological order of what your ticket will get you, and then some of the big names that'll be committed already to come to St. Louis here in late summer.
Yeah, the field is already this early out, already pretty committed.
Starts with Jay Delsing.
Starts with Jay Delsing.
Right at the top, baby.
And,
Thank you.
There's a lot of rumor that Jay is feeling healthy and his game's in good shape. I don't know if it's true rumor or not, but there's some sneaky suspicion that Jay might make a run. So just throwing that out there. But we have both Jays in the field, Delsing and Williamson. We have Stuart Sink, who turns 50 in June, and Stuart's won on the big tour, I think last year or 2 years ago at 48, playing great golf. I think Nota Begay is coming out; he'll be in it. All the other big names returning. We were blessed. We had David Toms, our first champion, Padraig Harrington. If you look at the history of Norwood, Danny, you had Hogan win there in 48. You had Trevino win there in 72, I think. Gene Littler in 73. Yep. And then Toms and Harrington. 5 amazing ball strikers. 4 of them, I think, are Hall of Famers. I don't know if Littler is, but so it tells you the, sort of the caliber of winner. And then, look, I think the best storyline is going to be Bernard Longer's at 45 wins right now, tied with Hale Irwin for the most ever on the Champions Tour. I think he'd love to break that in our backyard here. And so we will have a stacked field. I think it's going to be great golf. The one person I'm really hoping plays is Freddie Couples. Freddie didn't play the first 2 years. Freddie's playing a lot of golf this year. I think Delsing has a connection to him. Jay promises us Freddie's going to be in the field, so we'll see if he could deliver on that. But it's going to be a stacked field. And, again, go to AscensionCharityClassic.com. We have great grounds passes. We have our Club 314, which is our VIP seating. We have Pro-Am spots available, although I will tell you they're selling out quickly. And so if you haven't played in a Pro-Am, get one of those spots. And then we have our Legends Challenge on that Saturday, which is really, really cool. We're going to have a 2011 Cards versus 2019 Blues, which will be a fun rivalry.
That'll be fun. By the way, another name that moves the needle, and I don't know if he's made a commitment to come to St. Louis or not, is John Daly.
JD will absolutely be in the field. JD will. He loves this event. He's been, I think, he's been in the first 2 events, and he's thrown out the first pitch at Busch Stadium, and he marks this on his calendar. He has said publicly he views this as a major. I mean, he loves this area, and and wants to compete. He wants to do well. He wants to. I think he wants to win. So he will absolutely be in the field, and in about 2.5 years, hopefully, a guy named Tiger.
That'll be something else. Hey, Nick, it's always great to see you. Thanks for what you're doing in St. Louis, and looking forward to the Ascension Charity Classic.
See you guys out there.
AscensionCharityClassic.com to get your tickets. That wraps up the back 9. We head to the 19th hole. That's next on Golf with Jay Delsing.
This has been the Back 9, presented by Pro-Am Golf. We'll make the turn into the clubhouse and head into the 19th hole. That's next on Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Jay Delsing, and if you're like me, you're always looking for the best ways to improve your game. That means getting the best, most up-to-date equipment you can find in golf. You can find that equipment at Pro-Am Golf. Pro-Am Golf is located in Brentwood, and since Pro-Am Golf opened in 1975, they have been more than just selling golf equipment. Pro-Am Golf is dedicated to helping build your game inside and out. Pro-Am Golf can custom fit all your clubs specifically to your build. They offer private one-on-one lessons, and they carry golf gear for every part of your game. That means clubs, balls, shoes, apparel, accessories from all the major brands. I get asked all the time by golfers, where should I go get fitted for clubs? And I tell everyone to head to Pro-Am Golf. They're the best in town. And make sure you ask for CJ. That's Pro-Am Golf. Visit ProAmGolfUSA.com. That's ProAmGolfUSA.com.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, and let's head to the 19th hole.
The Golf with Jay Delsing show, presented by Doherty Business Solutions, continues from Wild Crush on this Sunday. And we're at Wild Crush because on April 6th, there'll be a Masters party here to promote the Ascension Charity Classic and to talk about the charities and all the money that is being raised for those in North County. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Our thanks to Nick Ragone, who stopped on by. So that's a big, big list he was talking about there at the very end of coming to St. Louis. Yeah,
it really was. And what about what your ticket? You purchase a ticket and what it gets. I mean, come on. It's a great deal. And you know what, Danny, one of the things that I want to touch on where he was talking about bucket list stuff and getting to play with somebody. I mean, you might get paired with me and somebody like, yeah, whatever, but you could get Ernie Els, you get Jim Furyk, you could get one of these guys, Hall of Fame guys. So, I mean,
let me ask you this. If I make a big enough donation, do I get to play with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You make that happen?
Yeah, we could make that happen.
You make that happen?
I don't know if you want to blow the money. We could just shred the money in your backyard.
I think the donation's going to go in your pocket.
Well, that could happen. I don't know. Nick might not like that, but no. It's amazing. I don't know how I got this lucky. Fall in love with a game of golf, and I had no idea all the charitable stuff. It's a societal powerhouse, the amount of money that this thing makes all over 2 weeks ago they had the end of match play that we'll talk about in a little bit in Austin, and they're going to drop somewhere between $7 and $10 million in that community this year from that tournament alone.
It's amazing. I thought the really cool thing that Nick touched upon is that the APGA event had never had the amount of attention brought to it until it got to St. Louis. And that to me is really important, that those young men and by extension young women, some of them will get the attention that they deserve and maybe just a chance to go on the Korn Ferry Tour. And if they get to do that, all of a sudden you're watching somebody play on a Sunday, which would be really cool.
Yeah, Danny, that opportunity is what we're looking for, to make those available for those guys, because you know what? You and I got to chase our dreams, and we are through whatever means we were fortunate enough to even knock our dreams off. It's one kid, one young gal, one young little boy makes it or gets to experience some of the things that we have chasing after it. It's all worth it.
Yeah, it really is. All right, you mentioned it, and I'm really curious about this. Is we try to wrap up what happened last weekend, and on that Sunday of last weekend, in watching match play, I was like, man, those guys have got to be exhausted. It's a war of attrition, not only physically but mentally, match play with these guys and the way that is set up.
Oh, there's no doubt. And there's nothing that really, you don't have time to prepare for that. You play that week, you're playing on Wednesday, you're playing on, Thursday and Friday, 36. Does that event even start on Wednesday, I think, that week, doesn't it?
The team event, I say team, like you got the four groupings.
Yeah,
the
pods.
The pods, and then all of a sudden you qualify off the pod. And then you're into another 18 to 36 on Friday. Then you're into 18, and then a lot of those matches are extended, so you're playing beyond 18. So you're talking a lot of golf and a lot of the mental side of golf, I would assume, in match play. Not to say that the other way that it's played isn't mentally tough. I mean, it's so challenging, but man, match play, that's tough.
It is. And Danny, this is kind of like the death of match play now, because I
don't like that.
I don't either. And you know why? So we do get to see it in the Bryder Cup. We do get to see it in the President's Cup, but we could see Rory versus John Rahm. We could see Cantlay versus Schauffele. These are really dear friends.
Yes.
I mean, that's where the storylines get interesting.
Did you ever have that situation where I know you were paired up with great buddies, and matter of fact, at the Ascension Charity Classic, you were paired up with buddies. What is that like from a professional standpoint where, you know what, you want to rip his throat out because you're competitive, but yet this is one of your good buddies. You probably played 100 rounds of golf with him, and yet does it make it more relaxing, or does it make it a little different?
It makes it more relaxing, and it can disarm it a little bit, but you still, let's say, so like in 2021, I got paired with Pavin and Steve Pate the first day, and I beat both of them, and I wanted to beat both of them.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't like I could go win the tournament on Friday, but I could sure lose it, if I go out and shoot 80. So I wound up shooting 71, and I was, I don't play anymore. I was in it, man. I was in it from start to finish.
Do you guys have little side games going on?
Nah.
Come
those
on.
guys don't. Those two guys hardly ever gamble.
But guys
$5. Yeah, there's some here and there, but think of it this way: why would you throw an extra Why'd you care about an extra $50 where if you make a birdie putt on 18, it's going to be worth thousands? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Now, if you're out with your buddies, you're not playing a tournament, then there's always some sort of action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were watching this weekend the Texas Open, TPC San Antonio. What's been the key for those guys as they play on this Sunday?
Oh, man, it's a Greg Norman golf course. It's been redone and redone and redone. You really got to drive the ball well. And there's some really dangerous holes out there. But then there's holes, like the 17th that it's wide open and you can, almost drive that green. So you've got to have all aspects of your game on hitting on all cylinders, and then a lot depends on that wind. It comes and goes out in Texas. But I will say this: San Antonio Golf Association and those folks at that event, they do a fabulous job. They are one of the oldest tournaments on the PGA Tour schedule.
This may be an odd question, but how much do guys start thinking, instead of wanting to play or concentrate or do whatever they're doing for that tournament, they're thinking Masters, they're thinking the next week, and they're thinking, this is fine, this is Texas Open, but I guess it's human nature, but my focus right now is on the Masters.
Yeah, if you're playing this week, though, and you think about the Masters,
you got no shot.
Bags early. You
got
no shot. But to your point, one of the hardest things about playing on the tour was to be able to compartmentalize all the crap that's going on in your life, Danny. You fight with your wife, or a divorce, or a sick kid, or God forbid your parents die. all that stuff, it happens.
Yeah.
You know what? And it's easy to read about others doing it and experiencing it until you're thrown in there.
Sure.
And then you're like, this. When my dad passed away, and you've lost your father, that's a big deal.
It is. It's tough.
It changes.
Losing a parent is tough.
It just changes everything. And, people pay their ticket. They want you to go out and perform. They don't know what you're dealing with. And that's where, being a pro, you've got to try to figure out the best way to keep going.
Wild Crush, we're not that far away from the Straubs, right off of Clayton. This is a great place to enjoy a Sunday afternoon. So come in this Sunday afternoon. Jay will be here manning the area and making sure everybody's got a pizza or maybe dessert, little wine, little whatever you want.
Wait a second. Now, you tried one of our flatbreads. What'd you think?
Outstanding. I don't know where you guys get that pizza, but it's as good as it gets.
Crust comes from Italy, and we're locally sourced, and they're delicious.
Crust comes from Italy. Yep. No kidding.
Yeah, right.
And it's a wood-baked oven, is that right?
No, we have what's called a Turbo Chef fire oven that we bought. I think it's from Europe, and it cooks these pizzas and flatbreads in just a little over 2 minutes, and the crust was good.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, we might have to have another. I kind of get hungry thinking about it.
April 6th, though, you've got the big party coming up. I know you do a ton of private parties here at Wild Crush, and we wanted to be here to talk about the fact that the charity side of the Ascension Charity Classic begins really on April 6th, because it's a Masters party tied in with the Ascension Charity Classic, and you're doing a ton of different charities coming out of Wild Crush. Yeah, we really are. My partner Karen Pazlowski and her daughter Lexi Pazlowski is our event manager and marketing chief marketing officer, and she does a great job on our social media. We love the community that we're in. We're in the heart of town and country. And we're in a beautiful setting. Bob Brinkman is our landlord. He built us a beautiful building to be in. We love it here. We just are, slowly but surely trying to get the word out to people. We're focused. Our mission is on kindness, Danny, and we don't care about the color of your skin or what you look like or money. Just come in here. You're going to get treated with kindness. Hopefully you enjoy a good glass of wine or a nice drink, maybe a little TV, a little golf, some music. We just have something for everybody. And those tickets, by the way, for the Ascension Charity Classic, we had a couple of emails popping in as we were doing the show, and then the text line as well, AscensionCharityClassic.com. My man, this was fun. Our first show together. This was great. This is like a rocking chair with me doing this with you. Thank you so much for joining me. You got it. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And don't forget the Golf with Jay Delsing show is always presented by Doherty Business Solutions. And Jay? Hit him straight, St. Louis. I love having Doherty Business Solutions as the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You already know that they're the #1 largest IT consulting firm and the largest software developer in the St. Louis region. You also know that there are over 2,500 Doherty teammates in 30 states and 3 countries around the world.
But what you may not be aware of is what Daugherty Business Solutions does right here in our own community. They were the sponsor for the first Advocate PGA event at Glen Echo this past September. Daugherty Business Solutions was also a presenting sponsor of the Ascension Charity Classic. They have created Access Point, which builds diversity in the IT workforce. This is a game changer in our community. Literally, hundreds of mostly young African American women are getting $50,000 to $60,000 per year jobs right out of high school, and that training begins in high school. Daugherty Business Solutions believes talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. Ron Daugherty, our founder at Daugherty Business Solutions, is the chair of the 2023 Heart Ball, supporting the local American Heart Association Foundation. These are just a few examples of the positive things Daugherty Business Solutions is doing right now in our community.